The Dead by James Joyce, presented by Group 4, Synclair, Navarro, and Madison, Thompson. The author of The Dead is Joyce James. He was born in 1882 and died in 1941. Many say that he shaped modern literature. He is known for wanting to trace human consciousness and understand the mind. Joyce grew up in a large family with 10 siblings, his mother and his father. In his adolescence, the Joyce family went from societal highs to the lowest points of poverty. I believe all the transitions and changes in Joyce's life caused him to want to understand himself and others, and I believe he achieved that in his writing. My group chose Lily as our main character. In regards to Lily as the perspective change, the main themes in The Dead by James Joyce are gender roles and societal roles. In Lily's conversation with Gabriel, many things become clear about Lily, women, the servant class, and what is expected of certain people. For example, Gabriel jokes with Lily that because she has just finished her education, it is already time for her to get married. This shows what is expected of women during this male-dominated era. Looking into societal roles, we see Gabriel tip Lily because it's Christmas. What seems to be the world to Lily is just loose change to Gabriel. And because of this, we can see a major difference in wealth between the servant class and those being served. In the text, Lily is only mentioned during her conversation with Gabriel and throughout the story in the background, mostly attending to the party. If we were to look through Lily's own eyes, we would be able to see much more. Because Lily is a servant and also female, people underestimate her. But that means it is easy for her to observe people without arousing suspicion. From Lily's perspective, we would see that the ladies decide to have a party. She has a conversation with Gabriel, which shows his sexist views, which she is not surprised by after knowing him for so long, and listening to the conversation of the partygoers while serving them. However, I believe Lily would know more than any character because she listened. Lily would have known before Gabriel about Greta's dead lover, most likely because she is used to being in the background and hearing what she is not supposed to, including things that happened in the past.
Within Joyce's piece, The Dead, he includes many intertextualities which enhance our understanding of the character Gabriel. One of these being the mentioning of Robert Browning, who was an English poet who had helped the transition from the Victoria era to the modern era. Joyce contrasts this modern poet to Shakespeare and Thomas More's Irish melodies, which were known as traditional pieces at the time. We see this intertextuality when the narrator tells of how Gabriel is hesitant about his speech when he states he was undecided about the lines from Robert Browning, for he feared that they would be above the heads of his hearers. Some quotation that they could recognize from Shakespeare or from the melodies would be better. This demonstrates how the character Gabriel has different perspectives and cultural views from the characters around him. It also reveals how he relates more so to the modern era and its ideas. Another intertextuality piece that we see throughout the piece is of the three graces in Paris. This is a Greek mythology of the mortal Prince Paris of Troy who had to choose between the goddesses Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite. Each of these goddesses offered him gifts such as power, wisdom, and love. Although all these offers seemed very tempting, he chose Aphrodite, who offered him love. However, this would essentially cause the war between Troy and Greece. We see this intertextuality when Gabriel states within a speech, "What shall I call them? The three graces of the Dublin musical world. I will not attempt to play tonight the part that Paris played on another occasion. I will not attempt to choose between them. The task would be an invidious one and one beyond my poor powers. This displays how he views these women and their beauty, hard work, and kindness. It also reveals how he refuses to choose among these qualities of power, wisdom, and love. Joyce decides to name this novel The Dubliners to emphasize the idea that this piece revolves around the people of Dublin. This allows the audience to understand their perspective, feeling, and experiences. This also comments on how Joyce views Dublin and its society, and that how he feels very disconnected with it. We see this when the narrator states about Gabriel how the indelicate clacking of the man's heels and the shuffling of their soles reminded him that their grade of culture differed from his. Joyce decides to name the last portion the dead, in result of the common theme within this section. We see this when the narrator states, I fear that this new generation will lack those qualities of humanity, of hospitality, of kindly humor. We shall still speak of them with pride and affection, still cherish in our hearts the memory of those dead and gone great ones whose fame the world will not willingly let die. The solid world itself, which these dead had one time reared and lived in, was dissolving and dwindling. This demonstrates how Gabriel fears that our existence will be forgotten once our lives end. This also conveys how we must turn back to the past and their attitudes and continue these qualities throughout our society. This also emphasizes how Michael Fury, who is dead, creates Gabriel's epiphany with his wife at the end of the story.
Thank you so much for listening to and watching our presentation.